Okay, if Andre is not here right now, we could go on to icon Monet Ebony. Is Monet here?
Monique Robinson.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, good to see you. You look beautiful.
Thank you. How are you?
Great.
Excellent
So
job, by the way, so far. Thank
I'm trying.
you.
Um,
Jonathan.
so my first question for you was to talk a bit about how you got involved in ballroom as a cisgender woman, and what's the history of women's participation in ballroom, and how have you seen that change over your time?
I started with my older brother, my actual blood brother, my biological big brother, started to Vogue, and then he taught me how to Vogue. And then he took me to the pier and to clubs. And, I guess it was cute for him because he used to show me off. He's like, look at my sister, she can Vogue. They have me Voguing all over the place. And then I met everyone in the scene, like at that time, with you, and it was Pepper, him, and Ronald, and Roger, Milan, and it was a different crowd at that time because it was the 80s in New York. So, but I was very, very young, so I didn't really participate in actual balls. I just was around the scene, and I learned how to Vogue from my older brother. Then I started learning from other members of the ballroom, like Ronald LeMay and Hippolyta Malone, God rest his soul, God rest his soul. And there were women. The House of Ninja always had women. There were women who came before me, even in that time, like Booba Denk and Ebony. And the House of Ebony has Shantae Ebony, which is the grandmother of the House of Ebony. And she's been around way, since like the beginning of it. She's a golden era person. So there's always been women around and walking different categories that they have for women, women's performance, women's best dressed woman was mostly the popular category, and women's performance, women's runway. Those four categories were like always there for the women from early in ballroom, really very early, and so they were always around. And I've seen the transition of that into international well, national first. I was one of the first women to go from state to state representing women's categories because certain states would have the category, but no woman was walking. Not too many women was around to walk it. So it started to generate more women's inclusion from state to state. Then it started to grow internationally, and now we have a global inclusion of women in ballroom. So
Okay, I love that. Yeah. Um, yeah, I feel like when I've read about ballroom history in some places, like it talks, that masculine women could compete, as male impersonators or as butch, etc. But not, I didn't hear a lot of stories about feminine women. So it's really great to get that history.
yes, we've been in the open to all category for a very long time as well. See, women will hit the floor when they say it's open to all, because that's exactly what it is. And then we've been invited to balls for years. Women's runway, women's phase, best dressed woman, but women's runway and women's performance and women's face are like the real, hottest categories for the most part.
Uh-huh. Can you say a bit about for you, the categories that you've competed in and what was involved in, slaying those categories?
Every woman's category I walked in one at one time or another, because I've been in the scene for 37, 38 years now. So over time, I've walked and won every woman's category that there is, unless there's a new category. um, the the way to slay those categories, I mean, you gotta have fun. This is the time for you to really go avant-garde, think outside the box, do some sort of expressionism that you might not be able to just do in another space where you look weird, people call you weird, they think you're crazy and stuff like that. It's accepted in ballroom. You know what I mean? It's not too weird. It's like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Shake the table, give me something to remember, give me what I'm looking for. And so you can be avant-garde and and accept it at the same time. So that's the creativity aspect of it.
That's great. Um, well, I'm going to ask you some stuff that I didn't have on here, but can you tell me about how you got involved with the House of Expression here in Roanoke?
Yeah, actually, Father G is amazing at doing research and, making contacts with others to generate the information that he's trying to get so that he can continue to educate his children. He reached out to me from knowing who I am in the scene. And we began to speak with one another. Genuine, amazing heart. Once I met him and spoke with him, and we connected on another level and was able to see each other's vision and uplift each other and educate each other and one another, and became like, brother and sister, like it's ballroom. That's what happens, those interconnections, those chosen families. So he's became my brother in the house of ballroom, the overall house of ballroom. He's my brother now. And all of the expressions are my nieces and nephews. They call me Auntie Expression. And so I've always been a community activist and engagement. I've always taught free classes at like gay men's health crisis and different Destination Tomorrow. Any organization that asks me to volunteer my time to give a Vogue session, I'll definitely be there. So that's another reason why I see how with the House of Expression, because I'm able to volunteer the information that was passed along to me so freely and that I love to another family member as a part of the House of Ball. And it's a quality control situation as well. And extended up the olive branch, because each one teach one. And when you click with someone and you guys have a great exchange, it builds itself. The house builds itself within, with that. So I want to see them be able to grow and have a good footing from the gate. So the more you know, the more you grow.
Well, thank you so much, Monet. It's been a real pleasure for me to get to know you over the past year. So thank you.
Fellow Brooklynites.
That's true. That's true. Brooklyn.
Right. That's the
I should say for everyone, yeah, my mom is from Bensonhurst and my dad is from Mott Haven. So, I've got New York. I'm always a New Yorker, even though I'm here in Roanoke. Thank you. All right, next up we have legendary Amp Landman.